Welcome back to Crushing Comics, the show where I fall in love with my comic book collection all over again. We are about to finish out one whole shelf, oh my goodness, of wrap comics. This feels like it has multiple things in it. We'll see. Something that all of this moving has made me aware of is physical strength, right? These things are heavy, especially like a whole short box full of comics are really heavy. And I have not been working out other than lifting up all of these boxes of comic books. And I really need to get, oh, this has all sorts of notes on it. And so I really need to get back to my regimen. It's amazing. I guess the point I'm driving to here is like not to proselytize about physical fitness or lifting weights or anything, but what's really amazing about making a change in your fitness level and your body strength is that things that you've taken for granted change. You take for granted that the jug of milk is heavy, right? But if you actually commit the time to change your body, then you lift up the jug of milk later and you're like, this is not heavy at all. And that's really, to me, the most fun about times that I've gotten stronger or gotten more flexible or whatever changes I've made in myself is not like the physical change or just like feeling great, although that's good too. It's when you notice something that you couldn't do before that you can do now. I just think that's cool. So, oh my goodness. Oh wow, there's so much to talk about in here. Okay, this is a really good stack, and it's not Marvel at all, but I have a lot to say about it. Let's start with this. So this is, I am a little bit of a Kickstarter addict. I don't know if I'm going to be as much so in New Zealand because it's a little harder to get stuff from Kickstarter here, so maybe I'll be tamped down a little bit. This is a Greg Rucka book from Kickstarter, Lady Sabre and the Pirates of the Ineffable Aether. It is terrific, as most Greg Rucka is. It's illustrated by Rick Burchett, not somebody that I am familiar with. And I pledged this on Kickstarter. I was very happy to receive it. And it's kind of this like Old West steampunk pirate thing. As you can see here, we have, you know, zeppelins flying through space. I've not read the entire thing. I've read the first few chapters of it and then put it aside, which is the case with many books. But here's what some of the cool stuff. They really outdid themselves on Kickstarter. So there's a little like paper doll kit, I guess this is, which you could punch out and dress Lady Sabre. This is the really neat stuff. Lady Sabre and the Pirates of Ineffable Aether annotated process book. I love the stuff that just like shows how they put the whole universe together, has scripts. I love that. And what is this little friend? Edwin Windshear's Pocket Guide to the Sphere, the Odin Part 1. So they did this like little artifact from the actual universe. Look how tiny the type is. That's so cool. So I love this stuff, and I'm a sucker for it. And you know what? Kickstarter, it's always a gamble. It's not, people think that the gamble in Kickstarter is if you're going to get the thing or not. Maybe just because I've pledged for so many projects at this point, I have a pretty good spidey sense of if I'm going to get the thing or not. I think like I've not gotten the thing like 2 times ever that I've pledged. The thing that you have to take a risk on is if it's going to be delivered to the quality, not only that the creator promises, but like to what you pictured in your mind. And with somebody like Rucka, who's an established author who's done this self-pub thing a number of times, you know it's a pretty solid bet. But if you're really trying to roll the dice on things that could be incredibly interesting, but you just don't know because they're an unproven creator, sometimes you don't know, like, is that book going to be to the quality that you think it's going to be? Is it, is the printing going to be as good? Is the artwork going to be as strong as in their preview pages? And that's the roll of the dice. I will say I've backed a lot of original graphic novels. I don't really like backing individual issues of comic books because it's like, you wait all this time and you get one issue, and it's not even a complete story. I like complete stories. So I've backed a lot of graphic novels, and I don't know that I've gotten more than 1 or 2 that have really been like disappointing, where the art didn't stand up, or the, you know, it didn't really conform to my expectations. And we're definitely going to open another one I really love because it was oversized, but I have some that are not oversized, and maybe a future episode after I get all this unpacking done could be looking through my history of Kickstarter supporting and highlighting some indie creators and maybe even seeing where they've gone on from there. But this is really, really cool, and I also like it because I love Rucka's writing of female characters. You know, I think it's a little bit of a fallacy that you have these certain men that write good women, right? Like Chris Claremont writes strong women characters. Rucka writes strong women characters, because people just write strong characters, okay? It's that these men are willing to have women do things that are as interesting, challenging, threatening as their male characters. And some male writers and some female writers don't do that. I'm not somebody who subscribes to you can only have women well written by women. So yes, I agree. It's nice to know that you can pick up a Rucka book and know that he's going to write some of his women decently. But at the same time, I don't think that there's this idea that there's some men that just write women well. Like, if you're looking for somebody to write really well, they write really well. And as I said, I think it's the men who are willing to use women in the same way that they use their male characters, create equality in their story, and that's feminism, right? They're a feminist author, not in that they're preaching some specific ideal, but in that they're giving their characters equal opportunities to each other. And so I don't know that I would say that Rucka is an author who's amazing at writing women. I would say that Rucka is an author who has a feminist approach to casting in his comic books. That's my own particular personal opinion. So this series, I love this so much. Like, I can't, this is one of those ones that I cannot possibly enthuse any more about. Why don't I tell you what it is? This is called, I'm just trying to figure out which volume is the first volume. This is called Siegfried. It is an adaptation of Wagner's Ring saga that also was partially the myth that inspired, not more than partially, Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. This, I don't know the full backstory, but my understanding is that it was originally going to be some kind of an animated project, and that it turned into a comic book project. This first one has a lot of like storyboard and animated cells in the back, but I guess I should probably sit down and look into that. But it is so good. The art is amazing. The build quality of these books are really nice. The story is great. I love how the characters are voiced. It has, you know, this main character who's adventuring through the world and trying to do something about the rings, and then also a Valkyrie who is also a part of this hunt. And I remember my daughter was really tiny, like to the point that I still had to prop her up to read to her, and she definitely did not know what the words were, but she was fascinated by this. Maybe because I did silly voices, but she just really, really loved it. So the first two came out, and I had the first two, and she had to be like less than a year old at that point. And the third one came out like just before we left for moving to Wellington, like maybe not weeks, but within just a few months before. And I'm happy it finally came out. I understand that maybe this didn't sell as strongly as Archaea had originally planned, but it's just gorgeous. It's a fantastic story. There's a lot of really interesting adaptations of, and wow, the bonus materials are just incredible. There's a lot of fascinating adaptations of the Ring Saga if you enjoy things like Tolkien and you enjoy that Norse myth and you haven't read them. I'm trying to think of if I could find it on the shelf fast enough. There's a P. Craig Russell, here it is. The Ring of the Nibelung. Russell, of course, is a famous adapter, and he is the person who adapted Neil Gaiman's Graveyard book, which we unpacked a few weeks ago here. But this is yet another adaptation. So I guess I must have gone through a point where I was really into Lord of the Rings adaptations. And this is, look at this honker. This is a big, really big book. But yeah, so if you're into that mythology, you could pick up this if you like Craig Russell. This was a Dark Horse book. I have not read that one yet, so I cannot give you my unqualified endorsement, but these Siegfried books are fantastic. Highly recommend. And unfortunately, the first one's gone a little bit harder to find at this point, but I'm sure that you can track it down, and if you can, highly, highly worth the read. So I think it's time, I don't know if I'm not gonna shelve the Greg Rucka ones in front of me because there's all these different size stuff. I'm afraid I'll drop it. But here's the official shelving, where are they gonna go, of Siegfried, volume 1 through 3. I guess we'll put them down here. And then also we will shelve Greg Rucka's Lady Sabre from Kickstarter. It's going to fit up here maybe? There you go. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in for another issue. They are kind of like my issues of my patently insane obsessive compulsive comic book. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Crushing Comics. where I get to fall in love with my comic book collection all over again. Those are definitely some books that I love, and I'm very happy to have back on the shelf. Tune in next time for even more unpacking and unwrapping.